everyone, my name is Anne Marie and I am the co-author of Raven Nalo and the Artifact of the Stolen Souls. Thank you so much for having me today to come and talk a little bit with you about our book. So why don't we get into it? So the first question that we are always asked is, why do we write? How did we write? For me personally, it started when I was really young. I could be maybe like 5 or 6 years old, I think. And I can remember writing little poems and little stories, and that for me just evolved into writing other stories as I got older, fan fiction about bands that I liked and things like that. And then when I was in college, I had an opportunity to write a movie script for our senior project. So that was really exciting. For Rachel, who is the other author on our book, her love for writing started a little later, when she started to come up with like these storylines for the different role-playing games that she would participate in. So like she was always really good at creating up these really crazy stories for things like that, and then it just grew from there. She actually had an opportunity to help me with high school plays that I used to direct, and the one year I really wanted a unique Alice in Wonderland script and I could not find one anywhere. So she just said, you know what? Why don't I write it for you? And she wrote such an amazing version of Alice in Wonderland. And then the following year, she created this other play called Dead End Inn, where it's kind of like this version of like a little bit of the Munsters, a little bit of Addams Family, little Dark Shadows. It was just so much fun being able to produce that with her. And then from there we decided, you know what, we should try writing a book. And that kind of goes into the next question that everybody asks is like, how did you come up with the idea for this story? And that actually went all the way back to when Rachel played Dungeons and Dragons with her cousin Kevin. And they created this campaign story. And one day she was going through a bunch of boxes and came across these old scripts. And she's like, showed them to me, and she's like, what do you think about these? And I'm like, these are amazing. We should really, really write the book about this story. And so we started like talking more about it and just doing some more research, and and then it just felt right. It just felt like this is exactly the story that we should tell. A lot of people then also ask, okay, so now we have this great story and this ideas and stuff like that. Like, how do you even write? Like, people say, I really would love to write a book, but how do I even go about doing it? The easiest thing that I can tell you to do is just do it. Sit down and write your thoughts out. Come up with a storyline, come up with some cool characters, and just go from there. Like, a lot of people get very nervous because they think, oh, I have to stop and I have to go back and then I have to, change this, or, oh, this wasn't right the first time. Don't worry about that stuff. Just sit down and just write it all out, because I'll tell you what happens. You get to go back time and time again and make edits and make changes. The book that we wrote is not the book that we started with several years ago. It changed and it evolved and it got so much better. And that's all you need to worry about, is just keep putting your ideas down and let it build from there. There are so many people that are professionals, copywriters, editors, things like that. They are going to help you. They are going to take your story, your vision, your voice, and make it sound perfect. You don't have to stress about that. just enjoy the process of writing. Just enjoy creating. Be a storyteller. That's what we love about being writers. We love to tell stories. And it's funny. This goes back to, again, the whole D&D campaign that Rachel started many years ago. People ask, well, how do you even, come up with characters? Well, during that role-playing game, she and her cousin Kevin and a friend came up with 3 characters to run this campaign. Igor, which is Raven's father. Mug, who is a tinkerer gnome, who is Igor's best friend. And then there's Gideon, who is a guardian of the realm that they live in. And so we took those characters and like kind of thought about them. And then Rachel said, you know what? I want to write this book with a very strong female lead character. So she started to play with the idea, and that's where Raven came from. She said, Igor is going to have a daughter. 2, actually. Raven Nalo is our main character, and then her sister's name is Kara. So we were kind of in the process of, okay, so we know that we have Raven. We know kind of what journey Raven needs to go on, but she has to have friends, right? She has to have people that she's gonna work with other than, her family and stuff like that. So that's where the fun began. So Rachel has 2 sons, and when they were very young, she had told them, listen, I'm writing this book with Anne. We would like your input. Can you create some characters? And Austin and Jared came up with 2 of the characters. Austin wrote the bad guy, whose name is Awshade, and Jared wrote a character named Jars. So let me tell you a little bit about the story. So Raven wants so much to be like her father. She is a half elf. Her father is an elf, her mother is a human. And she so badly wants to follow in her father's footsteps and become a rogue. So she is actually invited to go and study at this training camp. And when she's at this training camp, she comes across a group of other students that are also there. We have a dwarf named Short, and he is our comic relief. We have the archer elf, whose name is Avalon. She's very short-tempered. We have Izera, who is this beautiful water nymph and very much into fashion. And then we have Jars, who is the human sword mage, who is very brooding and quiet. So those are the stories. Those are the characters. And again, we had so much fun building in these characters into this world of Euphrasia. And we were just so excited for people to be able to read it. So listen, if anybody would like to purchase a copy of our book, we encourage you to please go to our website, which is rafisherauthors.com. And you can leave us an email. You can purchase the book. We would love to hear from you. So thank you again so much for letting me just share a little bit about our journey and our book. I hope everybody has a beauteous day. Bye, everyone.